Hi guys, it's Krish here from Carmarthen Camera Centre, and I am back again today to talk about that question that we always seem to get asked. What's the best hybrid full frame camera in 2024? And well, today we're going to answer that question hopefully with a straight shootout between four of the major brand models for £2,500 or under. So we're going to find out which of these cameras you can pick up for sub £2,500 that will tick all of the boxes for you. And in this shootout we have the EOS R6 Mark II full frame goodness. I love the ergonomic feel of this camera. It is my personal camera. I'll try and remain unbiased. The Lumix S5 Mark II X. I also have a bit of a soft spot for this camera system, but we'll get into that. The Sony A7IV, absolutely phenomenal. And this is the sort of let's say the standout sensor from a stills perspective with a 33 megapixel resolution as opposed to a 24 megapixel resolution on these ones. But we're not here to talk about stills. And finally, last but not least, the Nikon Z6 Mark II. Now do bear in mind at point of shooting this video, this is the slightly older camera system in comparison to the other three on the table there. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through some of the main features. But let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any more time. We're going to start with the R6 II. I'll see you in just a second. So we're going to make a start with my personal favorite, my personal camera. This is the EOS R6 Mark II by Canon. And I'll tell you what made me go for this particular model is that it is in my eyes, a phenomenal hybrid. You couple that with, at point of shooting this video, the absolutely amazing savings that Canon have put on this as a sort of a spring/summer deal. You can save almost £750 on this camera system, which brings it down under the £2,000 mark. I mean, that alone might be enough to sway you if you're purchasing a camera system on a budget and you need full frame. And let's really get into what's going on under the hood here. So as I already mentioned at the top, it's a 24 megapixel sensor, but the video shooting capabilities of this camera is pretty out of this world when you couple it with an 8-stop stabilizer. When used with particular lenses, that's absolutely phenomenal stabilization for a camera system that is relatively compact. Okay guys, so the headline features of the R6 II are the 6K ProRes RAW video that you can shoot with this camera, albeit you will need something like an Atomos monitor in order to record at that res. That is also in all intra video recording. Okay, so you get all eye when you're shooting to an external monitor. Otherwise, 4K 60 in body, and that will be directly to the dual card slot, one of which is a UHS 2 card slot. Absolutely phenomenal. That's an industry standard. I will forewarn you, however, it is at IPB, so that's like a compressed keyframe type of file codec. It is H.265 and 264 and 10-bit as well. So you get a phenomenal looking picture here. The 4K is an oversampled 6K image, and what that means is if you take a 6K imaging window, squash it down into a 4K window, you benefit from all of that sharpness and additional resolution. So the 4K on this oversampled is absolutely fantastic, guys. It looks stunning. It can do 1080p up to 180 frames per second as well. So if you're somebody that likes to shoot B-roll, this camera does have a fantastic B-roll option for you. All of that with their dual pixel CMOS RAW V2, if you will, focusing engine. Absolutely phenomenal. It's lightning fast, and actually, out of all of the cameras that we'll look at today, it's one of the more accurate. It's right up there with the Sony. Lightning fast, razor sharp, absolutely amazing. So it kind of ticks a hell of a lot of boxes. Me and Steve were kind of discussing just before we came on what the disadvantages of the camera system would be. And to be honest, we struggle to really find a hell of a lot of disadvantages. Apart from that, all intra video recording missing from this model, the IPB. I mean, some would see that as a negative, some would see that as a positive. If you're a content creator, you're probably going to benefit from the smaller file sizes, if nothing else. So it's horses for courses, depending on what you're looking for. But having the option to externally shoot raw video with the option of all-eye is absolutely fantastic. So big props to Canon there. I guess the only other point that I would pick on really is the HDMI. So it's not full-sized on here, and on some of the cameras that we'll have a look at a bit later on, they do benefit from a full-sized HDMI port. This one has a, I believe it is a micro. Yeah, it is. It's a micro HDMI port on the side there. So not ideal, but we roll with the punches. I'm not going to penalize Canon all too much on that minor point, if you will. Huge tick in the green box for Canon so far. Join me in a second. We'll get onto the Lumix. On to my second favorite, I suppose, guys. This is the Lumix S5iix. And I'll tell you what, at the price point that you can pick this camera up for, we're no longer talking about a semi-professional camera system. This is a pro videographer's dream. Everything down to the build quality, the quality of image, the color science, the sensor, phenomenal. I really like this camera system, and were I not so heavily invested in Canon myself, I would probably consider this as an all-out video option. It's a phenomenal piece of kit. As I said, ergonomically feels really nice in the hand, but all the magic is going on under the hood. And I will say, for a starting point, this is the only camera system out of the four that we've picked today that features an in-body heat dissipation system. So there is a cooling fan built into this unit, and that's absolutely perfect because this is a limitless recording. So you are only restricted by the capacity of memory and the battery life of the camera. Okay, guys, so you can shoot at full resolution to your heart's content. And let's get on to resolution of video. This camera delivers 6K internally. It's got open gate, it shoots in 10-bit RAW, but you do need an external monitor on this one still to get ProRes RAW. Okay, guys, but this is the only camera on our lineup today that shoots ProRes internally. Absolutely amazing. I mean, what a powerhouse that now fits into the palm of your hand. Now, on paper, the stabilization actually isn't as good as some of the other models. However, that's not the case in reality. I think it's safe to say that across the board, Panasonic Lumix, stabilization, heat dissipation, and overall video quality, I think they win. I think they win on all those fronts. And it always amazes me, it shocks me, how they manage to pull that off at the price points that they're selling these cameras out at. A firmware update that was introduced by Panasonic now means that you can shoot directly to an SSD from the USB Type-C port on the side of the camera. I know, it's ridiculous, right? And it has a full-size HDMI lead there. Absolutely fantastic. Just above that then, external microphone and headphone monitoring ports there. But similar to the Canon, you can buy a sort of an XLR set-top accessory that will go on the top of this if you are somebody that is passionate about your audio and require a slightly better solution. So ticking all of those boxes. I mean, it's a really sleek stealth design there. It's got all of the video shooting codecs and resolutions that you could want, all the way up to 6K. This one, as a video camera, gets all of the ticks, to be honest with you guys. This is certainly one of my favorite cameras in this lineup. So big kudos to Lumix, and we'll see you on the next clip where we'll be looking at the Sony. And we're back again, guys, this time with the Sony A7IV, which was billed as the upgrade model, if you will, from the A7 III, which has achieved legendary status. I mean, that camera was absolutely awesome. Well, let's jump in and let's find out all about this camera system. Just before I do, a little sip of my Monster Bad Apples. Let's go. Refreshing. Highly recommend it. But 4K 60p video recording capabilities with a 1.5 times crop. You've also got no raw internal shooting capabilities or externally. Does have a 33 megapixel sensor, which is absolutely great for still imaging, and it does still have a video option, of course, okay, but it does feature those bits that we've just said there. Unlike the Canon, which actually out of the four cameras that we're looking at today, gives you a full sensor readout, no crop, and the crop that is available is optional. So you can choose to shoot in Super 35 or the full sensor readout at 4K 60. So a little bit of a disadvantage there. What I say disadvantage, if you want to shoot Super 35 with a 1.5 times crop, you don't mind that, there we go, there's the camera for you. It's still ergonomically a very, very sound camera system, relatively lightweight, nice in the hand, a plethora of glass available for it, and that's something that I didn't mention actually. With native lenses, as well as Sigma now entering the fray for all four camera systems, you can get a whole load of glass Tamron included as well for all of these camera systems. So you don't have to stick to native glass anymore. As of July, I believe, Sigma will be making for RF mount. They already cover the Sony E mount. They do make glass for the L mount as part of the alliance. And they have some Nikon Z lenses in the pipeline as well, which is absolutely amazing stuff. So having that third-party ecosystem outside of native lenses is a very, very big bonus. Okay, guys, but who's this camera really aimed at? Well, I would say it's probably a stills first camera, having missed a few of those features. But we have to remember, around the same time that this camera system came out, Sony were kind of going through a development theme of bringing to market an affordable video camera system in the sort of the same breath as their very famous FS6 and FS7. So there is an FX3 and there is an FX30 available as well for not too dissimilar a price point to this camera. And also there is the A7S III. So they already have cameras which are very much video-centric camera systems, just not in the price point that we're talking about. So I can't stand here and slate Sony for this camera. I think it's an absolutely fantastic little hybrid for anybody that is, let's say, a stills first person and that wants to introduce video into their workflow. But it is lacking when we talk about how much you are spending on this camera and what the other boys give you on the market. And last but not least, the Nikon Z6 Mark II. Now, as I said at the top, this is the slightly older camera system out of the four that we are looking at today. And I kind of half-heartedly put this one in there just because the price point is very, very good. And it does make for a very, very useful system if you are already in the Nikon ecosystem and looking for a hybrid camera that can give you 4K at 60 frames per second. However, that is cropped like the other three that we've just done at 1.5 times, but that's where even that similarity kind of ends. Unfortunately, this gives you the video as an IPB or a long GOP, if you will, so a compressed video. There's no all intra video recording capabilities here, unfortunately, and it's all in 8-bit as well, so you can't do 10-bit. Now, there is light at the end of the tunnel, however. You can send this camera system away to Nikon and they will put a firmware update on there which will allow you to shoot ProRes RAW externally to a monitor. However, they're going to charge you £179 for the privilege. So just be mindful, guys, if you need raw recording video and money, budget is not an option, I'd probably buy the Z8, which for £4 gives you all of the same features as what the guys at Canon, Lumix and Sony are giving you. So it's not all doom and gloom. Listen, guys, there are alternative camera systems in the Nikon ecosystem that will give you that higher end sort of video performance, but this one's probably not it. It's a stills camera first that will feature some half decent video shooting capabilities. Okay, guys, so that's my kind of synopsis on this. Other features, not too dissimilar actually to the Canon. It does feature a micro HDMI lead. It has USB Type-C, but that's all for naught if it don't shoot no RAW. Okay, guys, well, that brings us to the end of the video. And what have we found out? Well, we found out that the Lumix is an absolute powerhouse, hot box for the money. Just under £2.5 at the minute. This makes for a very, very comprehensive video shooting package that does some pretty impressive stills as well, with its onboard 24 megapixel resolution sensor. But I tell you what, guys, I still don't know how they do it. As I mentioned to Steve before we started recording, how do they jam pack all of those features into this camera system at the price point that they do with the features that it's got? It's just absolutely phenomenal. So I wouldn't say that it's a clear runaway winner in the hybrid arena, but it certainly is my #1 pick for today. Next up, we have the R6 Mark II, and that's my own personal camera, my own personal go-to camera. Obviously, like with many of you, we all come to that crossroad of, oh, what should we go for next? What should we pick next? This was the one that I went for. It ticks enough boxes for me to get on with my day-to-day stuff. And I think at the price point that it's at now, with Canon's just absolutely bonkers savings, that for sub £2,000 is a hell of a camera body. And obviously with the introduction, or it's on the way, Tamron and Sigma now creating RF lenses, this makes for an even better investment piece. Third on the list is the Sony. Great camera system, tried and tested, but we have to remember that they do have dedicated video and cinema cameras, and the FX series takes some beating, to be honest with you, in that arena, and that's why this one's third, and I do find it lacking. And then finally, the Nikon, the Z6ii. As I said at the top, and I will reiterate that, this camera system is the oldest one on the table here, counting in at around about, I think it's been out for about 4 to 5 years now. So their technology has developed. Nikon have not always been known for delivering outstanding video. However, their Z8 system camera now, which unfortunately is double the money of this, does feature all of those, all the 10-bit recording, the RAW, the ProRes, etc., etc. So there is a camera system within the Nikon ecosystem that will deliver the type of video that you're looking for. It's just, you're probably going to have to pay a pretty penny more in order to get that, which brings us back to our winner, to be honest with you. I mean, again, to get those features for this type of money, and actually the Canon a close second, they get my vote. And there we go, guys. That officially brings us to the end of this video. If you would like any further information on any of the camera systems that we've discussed today, please don't hesitate to get hold of us on any social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Carmarthen Cameras. You will hopefully be watching this video on YouTube at Carmarthen Cameras. And if you are, please don't forget to like the video, leave us a comment, like and subscribe. Okay, guys, very important. The bell icon, top corner, smash that bell and keep up to date with all the goings on in store. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm Krish. We will see you next time.